Beep, 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 beep. Jester news. Breaking Jester news. Hello all. It's 4:37, so I imagine this has got about 5 o'clock. You're getting this straight off the press as soon as I came across it. And it's joyous news that we can be hopeful based on what it is that it says. This is so exciting, I can't tell you. Right, so here we go. This is from the Louise Clarence Smith, the education editor over at The Telegraph, on the 22nd of July, 2023. So that's come out today at 3:04 p.m. The Telegraph published this. I've just got my hands on it. And here we go. Number 10. We may have some movement here. Number 10 drafts laws to ban children from changing gender in school. Now, the legislation being prepared ahead of the King's speech in November as Rishi Sunak seeks policies thought to be supported by many parents. Many parents and other people, I might add. So this is incredibly good. It's a real move forward. Not quite there, as you'll see, but a real move forward. So here, Downing Street. Downing Street is, I'm so excited I can barely speak. Downing Street is drawing up laws to ban children from changing their gender identity in school, The Telegraph has learned. Primary legislation is being prepared ahead of the King's speech in November as Rishi Sunak seeks to reset his agenda with policies thought to be supported by many parents. I think Sunak's about to open the war chest that I've spoken about previously. And the LGBTQI plus hands, knees and bumps and daisy Fruit Loops are going to be absolutely spitting blood. That's what happens when you screw with reality, innit? F around and find out. The legislation will be introduced in the next session so that they can publish stricter transgender guidance for schools. A Whitehall source, we like that, a Whitehall source said that one option being, because just one, mind, just one, so don't get too excited like me, but one, just one, is being to amend the Section 7 of the Equality Act, gender reassignment, by stating that it only applies to people with a gender recognition certificate. It's a start. It's not all the way, but it's a start. Next thing is to obviously do the thing, get the thing gone altogether, but it's certainly a start. Now, what that would mean is they'd have to gone through what's required in the Gender Recognition Act in order to be able to be covered by gender reassignment in the Equality Act, which even then, even if it's covered by gender recognition in the Equality Act, they can still be excluded from same-sex spaces. It just stops all the LARPing beforehand by the nonsense merchants, right? Trans guidance delayed in the UK is it not possible to formally change gender by obtaining a certificate before the age of 18. That will essentially plug the gap. That'll plug the gap. It'll mean there'll be no such thing as a trans child. That they won't have even the option to have it affirmed in schools, which keeps reality in their life, at least for a very large part of it, even if their parents are transhousing by proxy, and they're one of those parents that are doing this damage to their children deliberately. The government confirmed this week that the publication of long-awaited transgender guidance for schools had been delayed, despite an earlier pledge from Rishi Sunak to deliver it by the end of the summer term. It looks like they've caught on. You know, all the work we've done may be paying off here, people. All the work we've done may be paying off, so beep, well done to you all. The broken pledge means that teachers will continue to face uncertainty over how to respond to a dramatic rise in the number of children reporting gender dysphoria. And I say to those teachers, just hold on, right? And to the other ones that have been pushing this and running affinity clubs and everything else that goes with it, I say just wait. Okay? In 2021, the NHS reported more than 5,000 referrals to the Gender Identity Development Service run by Tavistock and Portman NH Trust, up from just under 250 a decade earlier. This is the social transition, social not program network, cohesion, contagion, the social contagion that we've spoken about, where, you know, it's just people start doing it and they go so far they can't stop. We know what happens. They'll end up trans in the gay away. Education Secretary Gillian McKeegan backed an early draft version of the guidance which said that pupils could change their gender pronouns in school with parental consent. However, Mr Sunak is understood to have sided with red wall Tory MPs, including Miriam Keats and Nick Fletcher. Yes! I want to sing some kind of song of, you know, joyous victory. But we're not quite there. The government commissioned legal advice on strengthening the guidance after the Telegraph reported on a backlash from some MPs and campaign groups concerned that allowing children to socially transition was unsafe. Of course it's unsafe. It's transing the gay away. Legal concern is focused on the situation for those people considered Gillick competent, a legal term for children sufficiently mature to make adult decisions. Yeah, I don't think anybody's in their right mind if they want to cut off their cock and balls or their breasts and mutilate their vagina. Nobody who wants to do that is in their right mind. It's not complicated. A lot of Skopsies from Russia, or some weird Egyptian cult, all praise whoever it is. Yep. Cut it off. Government lawyers refused to certify that the government had a greater than even prospect of winning a legal challenge through judicial review of the guidance. It is understood. So no judicial review because they're likely to use it. So therefore we're going to pass primary legislation which will protect children across this country from the LGBTQI plus cult. Responding last week, Victoria Prentice, who is the Attorney General, concluded that a ban would be unlawful, citing the Equality Act 2010, which states in its current form that gender reassignment is a protected characteristic, including for children. She advised that the government would need to pass new legislation if it wanted to go further. Right. Come on. Save those gay and lesbian kids and those non-conforming kids and those autistic kids. Let this never happen again. Amendments to the Equality Act have long been a target for Conservative ministers. I didn't know that. Is it? That might be the Guardian, the Telegraph, sort of going a bit righty bum square. The Act was introduced by Gordon Brown's Labour government in 2010. It's been pretty much a disaster since then in many ways. The Equality Act misinterpreted, Suella Braverman, the Home Secretary, said in a speech last year. The Equality Act has been misinterpreted, which has caused it to sit uncomfortably with our human rights tradition, which is true, with respect to the trans issue. The government is also planning to pursue reforms of the Equality Act to protect biological women in single-sex spaces, such as changing rooms and hospital wards, the Time reported. Ms Keegan told schools and colleges this week that they should proceed with extreme caution around gender identity issues. I mean, that's really stop, don't do it, innit? Without saying stop, don't do it. Any school, college or teacher who is encouraging any of this LGBTQI plus nonsense, I put you on notice now if I was anybody else. If I was the head, I'd say, right, you're closing it, you're shutting it, it's done. You're on notice. You keep pushing this nonsense and we're going to come for you. She said they should always involve parents in decisions relating to their child and should not agree to any changes that they are not absolutely confident are in the best interest of that child and their peers, which means you could never agree to it. Because you cannot be absolutely confident in something that doesn't exist called gender identity. Mark Leon, the head of education at the Centre for Policy Studies, said everyone's priority is to keep all children safe and protect everyone's rights in the process. Schools need to clarify as to what they must do to ensure this. If ministers have concluded that the law needs tweaking to achieve this, so be it. This should be done as quickly as possible, and the government must make sure teachers need to know what to do in the interim. A government spokesperson said the Education Secretary and Minister for Equalities are working to bring forward guidance for teachers, parents and children, and it's right and proper that we take the time to consider it carefully. The Education Secretary will provide an update in due course. There you have it, folks. It looks to me like come November, as we head towards Die Hard season, that we will see legislation on the table that will limit the influence of gender identity and gender ideology on not just the Human Rights Act, but every single school in the country and every child in the country. And we will pass legislation that will be a masterclass in how you deal with this before we then repeal the GRA. But a masterclass in how you deal with this that other countries that are watching us can then follow because they are watching us. America is watching us. Europe is watching us. Right? This is what you do. You absolutely legislate it out of existence. And this, to me, is the first great shot across the bow. So I say to you, oh, joyous day! Howdy, howdy. We're off. See you later.